Hi everyone, Stephanie here. Many of you are thinking about and planning for collecting universal screening data next school year. And I want to give some thoughts and maybe suggestions about how you can do that really efficiently in a way that shares the responsibility of collecting the screening data, but also equips all stakeholders in the school system to have the experience of assessing students, but maybe even more importantly, to know about the data so that they can sit down together, be part of that collaborative problem-solving process that will help you really use the data to improve your reading outcomes for your students. So one thing to think about, one strategy or approach, would be to have all of your classroom teachers trained, knowing how to give the universal screening assessment, and include in that group some of the additional support people in your school. If you have related service personnel like school psychologists or speech pathologists, they can be trained and become part of the assessment team. If you have reading specialists or Title I teachers or reading coaches, even to engage your librarian, your music teacher, your principal or vice principal, anyone who has a stake in reading outcomes can be part of the team who helps to collect the universal screening data. So all of those folks would need training, and you're going to need to hire substitute teachers or use some of those other personnel to cover the classroom during the time that the classroom teacher is assessing some of the students. So let's say you have a team of 5 people who've been trained. Classroom teacher is one of them. The substitute or other personnel is covering that teacher's class during the assessment time. And the other 4 folks, whoever they are, who you've trained in your system, each one of you takes students one by one to a quiet location, as quiet as you can get around the school, and you test students one by one. And if you have parent volunteers, which is a real luxury and treat, you can use them to shuttle students back and forth from the classroom to the place where you're doing the screening assessment, so that you have somebody waiting maybe outside the room while you're screening a student, and you send that student back to the classroom and the next one is ready to come into you. This way, the classroom teacher can handpick the few students that he or she is screening, but not have to assess their entire class by themselves. And in terms of who you might want to handpick, you might want, as a classroom teacher, to test those students who are maybe going to be reluctant to go to an unfamiliar adult, maybe won't give their best performance or show their skills. Students who have articulation errors or English learners, those might be the ones you want to handpick and assess yourself. Everybody else can be assessed by another trained adult within your school system. This way, the team and the substitute sort of cycle through the classrooms. If you have a very large school, lots of sections or classrooms at each grade level, you might need multiple subs. You want to accomplish this within a 2-week window, ideally, and you want to take no more than an hour away from instruction in each classroom. So if you're new to giving the assessment, it might take you a little bit longer. You might need a team of 6 or 7 to accomplish it in under an hour. Those would be things to think about with your local circumstances. Hopefully this gives you some ideas about how to efficiently collect the universal screening data next year in your school system.